Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about California. Edward Abbey said, "There's science, logic, reason. There's thought verified by experience. And then there is California." 9 years ago, California shut down their nuclear power plant. It's probably costing the state more to decommission the plant than it would have cost to repair it, but that's how California works. And then California shut down their coal-fired power plants based on some completely fake statistics. Some professor made up a number that shutting down the plants has saved 23,000 lives. It's pretty safe to assume that he pulled that number out of a very dark place. Reading the LA Times is always very enlightening. Look at the article on the bottom right. Science, the riskiest place for natural disaster in the U.S. You're living in it, LA. LA could be destroyed by a long overdue earthquake at any time, but they're worried about their minuscule addition to the amount of CO2 in the global atmosphere. And then the article above that, LA homeless sites overwhelmed by COVID-19. These are the toughest times. California has created huge numbers of homeless people via their environmental policies and their COVID lockdowns. And now California is worried about the spread of disease through the homeless community which the government of California created. The California government doesn't seem to have any awareness of the consequences of their own actions. So California shut down their nuclear electric power, and then they shut down their coal electric power, and now they're insisting that everybody's cars be powered with electricity. So California is rapidly decreasing their electrical supply and at the same time forcing an increase in demand. And if that isn't self-destructive enough, California is also forcing people to give up their gas-powered stoves and their gas-powered water heaters. All new stoves and water heaters will have to be electric. So once again, they're increasing demand while decreasing the supply of electricity. And they're doing this because they believe that this will prevent hurricanes, droughts, and forest fires. Because of their superstitions about climate, California no longer has enough electricity. And when they run short of electricity because of their incompetent planning, they quite predictably blame it on climate change. The Los Angeles Times posted a great series of tweets today. Next summer, there's a decent chance California's power grid will again be stretched to its limits. Power plants that burn natural gas will be fired up to avert the need for rolling blackouts. Let's think about the logic behind this. California is taking away people's gas-powered stoves and water heaters, which are nearly 100% efficient. California is replacing them with electric stoves and water heaters, which are going to be powered by burning natural gas at a power plant. Electrical power generation and transmission is very inefficient though. Probably about half of the energy created by burning natural gas at the power plant will be lost before it arrives as electricity at the people's homes. So what California has done is replaced nearly 100% efficient gas-powered stoves with much less efficient electric power. As a result of their brilliant thinking, California will now have to burn twice as much natural gas as they did before. The idiocy of what California is doing is quite breathtaking. But they're just getting started. The LA Times goes on, lithium-ion batteries, some connected to solar farms and others in household garages, will dispense electricity. A growing number of household batteries will discharge in unison as dictated by the needs of the grid. Electricity generation isn't just getting cleaner, it's getting smaller and nimbler, with help from batteries, smart thermostats, and electric cars. California is forcing everybody into electric cars, which will create a huge increase in demand for electricity on the grid. And what they're saying is they're going to use electricity stored in electric car batteries on the grid to charge electric cars. Apparently, California believes that they can violate the laws of thermodynamics and have cars charge themselves. And they describe this alchemy as getting smaller and nimbler. Then the LA Times goes on. Meanwhile, millions of people will cut back on home electricity use. Many will have agreed in advance to have their AC automatically turned down a few degrees or their refrigerators briefly powered down. In other words, government is seizing control of people's refrigerators and can turn them off anytime they feel like it. Electricity generation in California is getting smaller and nimbler. Power plants and transmission lines are being joined by programmable thermostats, solar charged batteries, and even electric cars as tools for balancing supply and demand. In other words, California has replaced their very reliable grid, which used to consist of coal and nuclear-fired power plants, with an unmanageable and incomprehensible mess. This is already leading to people not having enough electricity being too expensive, and ultimately people losing their homes because they're not allowed to work and they can't afford to pay their bills. And California's virtue signaling about climate is coming at the expense of child slave labor in Africa. All of these batteries, which California is bragging about, depend on cobalt, which is mined by child slaves in the Congo. But for the state of California, these black lives don't matter. The child they care about is Greta Thunberg, who just turned 18 after you stole her childhood. California says that they listen to the scientists, which actually means that they listen to crazy academics who lack any common sense. Toto has a difficult time understanding how people can be this ridiculous, but it gives him lots to bark about. You can visit Toto and Kyrie on the web at realclimatescience.com.